Hello, everyone. Good morning, good day, depends on from where you're watching us. And welcome to another webinar from proMX, our July webinar, exploring AI and new feature highlights in Dynamics 365. And this is the topic we'll be covering today. But before jumping into this dive, in case you want to follow up with all the news regarding Dynamics, feel free to follow us in LinkedIn or in our social media. Please subscribe to our newsletter if you want to stay tuned for our future webinars around the topic, and also an important topic which is coming up about the migration from service automation to project operations. Sorry. So we will be covering a lot of different topics in our future webinars, in our blog, and in our newsletters. So feel free to follow us. And yeah, going back to our webinar topic. Today with us, we have two professionals in the topic, Anna Kubny and Sebastian Sieber. Anna is our senior consultant at proMX, and Sebastian, our team lead ISV. And they will give you the deep dive into the different topic about today's deep dive. Everything related to Copilot, AI, Dynamics 365 sales, and future features. And yeah, to you.
Okay, let me start then. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Anna Kubny, as Katharina already mentioned, and I'm a senior consultant and project manager at proMX for the last 4 years. And I will deep dive into two topics today with you together. One is the new look and feel of the forms based on a sample in the opportunity. And my second topic will be the opportunity pipeline view, which is basically an AI feature. But Sebastian will start off with his part of the presentation to basically give you a general insight of the AI topic. Handing over to you.
Super, thank you. Therefore, let's go one more to the dark side of whatever there comes from the dynamic side. So my name is Sebastian. I'm happy to meet you all. Good day, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you're looking. Watching that, as already told by Katerina, I'm responsible for everything that comes in with our products at proMX. As well, kind of talked into that project operations expert role. So I cannot make myself free from that anymore. Yeah, so started with project service automation from the early beginnings. And since then, I'm kind of hooked by especially that business application. In terms you want to connect, you want to follow on LinkedIn, or you want to connect on my blog or so, there's a QR code on the screen. You can always scan that, and you come to that. All certain links that may be important for you, so in order you want to follow up, or you do have questions which may come later. You are happy to send me an email or reach out to me on LinkedIn or so. Yep, therefore we're just starting right into this because we are rough on our time plan. You already got the very first topics. You already made your speakers, so we can check that. So the first thing is already done. We will go through the agenda right now on my side. Anna will then take over afterwards. So usually you should also have like checked agenda point number 2 right now. So that's not too bad for first 5 minutes. We will shortly discuss like what is Copilot and AI, and where is this all coming from, and what has Microsoft to do with that, and what is this with my projects, and what is going on with my power apps and things like that. We will talk about the three, or we picked 3 different AI-powered features at the moment. So we do have once in a while the Microsoft Copilot for Power Apps, so we will do a little demo on that. And as well, we will check on whatever there is on Microsoft Copilot for project operations. They as well released the preview there with some nice little free features, and we will deep dive into them. We'll demo them as well. And then last but not least, we will as well talk about Azure OpenAI, just in case you not heard of it. It's kind of the collaboration between whatever happens in OpenAI in terms of Chat GPT, for example, but as well the DALL-E with the picture recognition, and in combination with Azure. So there's as well maybe some playground for you there. And then finally, we will do the demo then for all of these three topics together. But maybe let's first start with like a little mute trailer, and I hope that works now for you with the audio. If not, I will just run over it. Maybe make it a bit tighter, then I can as well talk over it. So basically what we can see that is Copilot is generating, helping, assisting everywhere around, in this case, Office. So it can generate information, it can generate text, especially, and you can as well adjust this. It works very well with pictures as well. You can create your PowerPoints. You can analyze and figure out like what the data says or what is the summary of the data. And there as well some features you can already use today, and as well, for example, for replying to emails or getting summaries for emails, you want to definitely catch up on Viva sales. And as well for Teams, it comes in very handy to give you the tasks or the summaries of all of these different Teams meetings you do have across the day, and bring some super nice overview at the end with some action items. So Microsoft lately is a lot all about Copilot and giving out like these all different use cases for it. And when we look on the timeline, we will be super surprised that it didn't start this year actually. So we already do have AI and AI-based features since 2019 when the first version of AI Builder was released. And you may have seen the demos. Someone goes through the supermarket and scans some groceries or so, or the camera of your smartphone counts the amount of water bottles in the supermarket, things like that. So we did see the same demo or the same use case over and over again, and it's not too long ago that I said, yeah, but it's always the same. There is like no improvement in it at all, and they're just showing us every time the same AI builder presentation, and I was a bit like, yeah, give me some real life use cases where like I can go to customer or I can sit down with the customer and we can develop a concept with that, and it all works fine for us, and it can really like leverage that functionality, that machine learning functionality. And surprisingly, it took like another 4 years to see that, and could 4 years of full disbelieving by myself, till it took off with the Chat GPT release in 2022. And then as well, very quickly after that, Microsoft announced features like using an image or Figma design to create a Power App, which was already at this time AI powered. Same as with all these natural languages, using in PowerFX, for example, to create Power Apps to work with Power Automate, for example. Maybe you could already have the hands-on, like, give me like a workflow, Power Automate with like this and that, and it would create that from the scratch just for you with all the connectors already set up. As well, like a big focus here was the GitHub Copilot. So generating code, writing code is a big topic, and with Copilot especially, it is making it way more easier. And then if we kind of fast forward a bit to January this year, then you may have heard in the news that Microsoft and OpenAI kind of going into collaboration. So Microsoft invests multi-billions of dollars into OpenAI as a company to as well then bring uh, OpenAI functionalities such as ChatGPT or when we talk about DALL-E into Microsoft products in this whole already powerful network of platform. And with that as well, having Copilot announced a bit later than this year. So working with that Copilot, with that chat integration for Power Apps, for Power Visual Agents, with no pre-generations, but we as well saw it in Power Automate and just in a trailer. We could as well see it in Office, how it could work and how it could enhance our daily business life from the scratch and just turn everything to the left-hand side, which is still kind of a bit scary to see like all of this new stuff coming out and also the speed of the development. But we will see as well in the demo that there are some definitely some room to improvement. So in general, I would say that these all AI analytics and the whole development of AI goes into the right direction. So it just brings benefit for your end users and just powers up the data. So you all know more like reading through email threads for hours to understand what happens or what you need to do. You can just ask, for example, Viva Sales. Skipping the timeline, somehow my button does not work very perfectly fine here, but we will come over that. So there's Copilot for Power Apps, and what that does mean. So if you have a look on make.powerapps.com, so where all the makers create new Power Apps, new Canvas apps, we do have very new that little can highlight it here. Yes, we do have that little section over there where you can type directly our prompt and figure out like what is going on, what do you do, what do I want to do, right? So we can create directly our Power App with that. We can directly create the tables with all the columns, including demo data, and there's no further action to do going into the system. I need to create this table, then I need to connect to this table, and I need maybe like a project manager for this, or I then need to create this app, and then I need to manually track all my created accounts and tables into that app. So this will all handled by the AI, and that's kind of the extension to help you with that work. It as well can create, as already mentioned, simple demo data and you can as well ask about the data. So for example, how many registrations you already have for your event or so you can read the data and you can as well play with that a bit around. We will see that in a second. We will definitely do demo that. Another option, as I already have talked about that, is the Copilot for project operations. While I have that very strong background with project operations and project management in general, this is something that I have been really looking forward to, and it actually comes in with free features. So you can first of all create the project plan with the help of AI. So based on the name and the summary, it will set up the project task plan for you. I think we can see that quite good here in that section right there. So all of these little project tasks here. All of these guys, they were created by AI. As well, what you can as well do, we can create project risks. So based on the task, based on the data we do have on the project, we can see that some risks are getting created for our projects done therefore, and as well we can generate internal as well external status reports, which do give an overview about your general project. So if you're still in budget, which open tasks you do have, how's financials looking like, all this in a bigger summary ready to send to your to your customer. or to the team or to the stakeholders. So all of this is done as well there, and you can decide between internal and external versions with some more internal and conventional usage for the internal one. But this is not everything. So on one side, we saw now Copilot, which is more likely the Microsoft branch of the product. When we talk about Azure OpenAI, this is more like your plane connection via Azure to OpenAI services. So OpenAI services is the whole the whole company behind ChatGPT, what you may have already tried out by yourself. And what you can do with Azure OpenAI is you kind of connect through Azure to OpenAI, so everything is still on the Microsoft handled side, and you do have the Microsoft portal to work with that. But you still can you definitely directly leverage the data on the services from OpenAI. You do have a bit more options there to configure, to have as well some specific data files, or you can train the model with your specific data. And you can build basically your own integration to OpenAI in this case, and you can, for example, as well filter things out or use pre-existing models, and you do have just a wider variety of different models you can use there, while you're kind of limited and just need to stick whatever there is with Microsoft. In that case, enough with the talks. We want to see some demo, and therefore I need to reshare my screen because this is on a different thing here. Just give me a very brief second. I made an annotation. I don't want to do this, but it's fine. And therefore we start right here. Let me reshare. Let me give her a second. In this case, we're going with the full screen. Yeah. Okay, you should see again my screen, right? So we are here on make.powerapps.com. This is your portal in terms of you want to create any application, so any Power App, Canvas app or so, or you want to do some customization on the data model and so on. And there you can see let's build an app, what should I do? And there's a little text field with that. Very nice information for you, because and if you want to try it out by yourself, your tenant needs to be in the US region. So this is the predefined situation with that. So it doesn't work, for example, for European tenants at the moment. So because everything is still in preview and we hope everything works for the demos, you're praying to the demo gods that this will work. And so you're NA tenant in this case, you will find this little picture here. And we say, what do you want to build? We want to have an application that we want to do lists all of my stakeholders for projects and tracks their what do we want to track? Their knowledge and skills. Let's see what we'll get. Skills like this, and we just hit enter, and then what happens in the background is basically that the AI Copilot in this case goes in there and from that prompt generates new table. Our table is stakeholders, so we can already see that it's already done. Thanks so much, Mr. Copilot. So we do have stakeholder here. We can as well click that little pen button here to see like the information which we get here. So it's generating it with the display name, plural name, gives you a little information about that, and I as well have some advanced options. What is important to know is that it always takes the default publisher of the environment. So you cannot connect this with maybe existing data or existing data model. You do have that in the system. So for example, if I already created a proMX underline stakeholder table, it would just create a new one. So it does not pick up the data yet from the system. I think this is most likely to come in the future. In that case, it is CR7FE underline stakeholder, and it always picks it up. And then as well, it kind of sees like, okay, we do have an ID, so we do have a number of that, and we do have a name, and we do have knowledge, and we have skill. Yeah, that's pretty decent. We may want to have some more demo data of that. Can you give me, please? Always be friendly with your AI. You never know what happens. Can you give me, please, more examples of stakeholders? So let's ask if it can do it for us, and it's working on it. Depending on the load, it what happened? Let us refresh. Maybe. Oh no, it's gone. That's the worst case that could happen. Let us start over again. Let's do again. App for stakeholders. You can see it's still preview. App for stakeholders tracking their, let's call it investment this time, in our products and their contact information. Let's build it differently. Maybe I shouldn't have to put the button on refresh, but usually that should be fine. So let's see that again. So we get again our information, so it's everything there as before. And then, for example, we can as well see the column properties, for example, names. So you can as well see that this is the right format and things like that. So you can check this and as well edit that. And let's see if it can give me more stakeholders. Give me, please, please give me 4 more stakeholders as name there. Let's see what happens this time. If it doesn't want to do that, then we just try something else. Usually it's quite good with just generating it. Yeah, no, it works. I don't know what hiccup it was before, but in this time, it just generated more records. I know in just in case of 5, we now have 9 in terms of that. And we do as well have like the contact email, contact number, and the type. Well, the type is maybe something we need to work on later. That we maybe want to see in our column. What kind of column we could see? We may as well want to see the parent customer, right? Please add 1 more column for the parent customer of the stakeholder. I just recently created a stakeholder as a table for internal development, and I forgot the E, and it was stakeholder, and then I was a bit like not happy with that it wasn't stakeholder as a typo, so like the steak. So yeah, so you're always trying to figure out if I write it correctly. Yeah, and then we got like the new column for parent customer, and this all looks fine to me. So we do have our 9 stakeholders here. With all this information, of course, we kind of need to rework the type there later, but this is good for now. And then we just hit create the app. And the beautiful thing about that is I don't need even to do like creating the app or giving it a name or working with that, or like no, go to the app, create a new app, link the data. It is all doing it by itself. And in that case, we as well then see what is happening in the background. Yes, perfect. And it creates basically an application with, I just forgot the word, so I need to wait till I can see it and read it. So it is as well different and it into different components there. From the design perspective, if you do have this question, it always creates the kind of similar application from a design perspective. So it will kind of list the records on the left-hand side, and then yes, we can skip that. Containers, the word was containers. So we do have the different containers, which is widely important if we talk about accessibility and how the app can work. So what we get, I can zoom in a little bit for you. So what we do get the stakeholder application, which is pretty nice. We do have all our data here on the left-hand side, right? So we do have our data connected, and we do have a little search with that, and we can as well see their card, basically their stakeholder card. So for example, there's as well Bob, right? And we want to see Bob, so we can hit play and then select Bob, and then here's Bob Smith. And as well, we can see how that then turns out on the phone, for example, which is a pretty nice feature. So then it turns out like this, and it always scales down on the, what did I choose? iPhone, right? So it already scales down here, and it already looks pretty nice. So it looks basically better than whatever I built in the first steps when I worked with Power Apps in the very first years. And the nice thing is I can as well add Copilot right here onto that application to ask about my data. And I just need to see if it's enabled, because you may sometimes have to enable it. Yes, it's enabled. So you, on the settings, upcoming features, you search for Copilot component, and it's right there. And you want to insert that. We're gonna Copilot. We do just like that. And this will add a nice little chat window for our table here. So we can connect it to our source. Of course, I clicked it away, so we connect to our stakeholder. View is none because there is no view. I already reached the number of requests. Okay, so we need to search on that on a different environment. But you can add basically that. Let's go back to, no, which one is it? The browser one. Windows size. So we can add this right here, and basically can ask questions about the data which we are connecting to. In this demo environment, I just run out of requests in that case. But theoretically, we can ask about this. This data we can see here. The only thing what I want to mention about is it cannot really work with dates. So in order you want to have like start and end dates, and they're referring to today, for example, or to next week, it cannot really process that, and it doesn't really work with that. It doesn't know which date it is today. So that's a bit of a challenge you need to remember. Yeah, therefore, let's jump into project operations real quick and to see what we do have here as a Copilot feature. So we already see here Copilot in a preview. It is enabled in this case. It's one of the little features you can enable and then as well disable later on. So it's definitely worth a trial. You want to navigate in order to activate it to the project parameters, and then check out on feature control and then enable the Copilot preview right there. And here, for example, I still have the option to disable it. So it's pretty nice in terms of that behavior. So we go back to our projects, and in that case, looking on the time, we may jump into my project already. So let's first create a new project in this case. So we create a new demo project. We call it Microsoft Sales Integration Implementation for new customer. The customer should receive Dynamics 365 sales and customer service, say integrated to Microsoft Teams. So why I put the description in here is pretty important for the AI right here. We just select, let's go with Contoso, and then just hit the save button. So why did I type the description? This is the information where the Copilot gets the information from for the task plan generation. So what we do here is we do have the Copilot tab right there, and we can generate task plan from here. We can as well use the chat integration here on the right-hand side. So you can as well type in, hey, can you please create me my task plan, please? And it will do so. What it cannot do today, which will perhaps maybe come in the next updates, so something maybe around August, is that it cannot ask real questions about your data in this example. So of course, everything is still in preview. And we want to have the look on here at, for example, can you give me like the project manager of this project? And it will not be able to answer the question, but you can see pretty nicely on the screen that in this case I am the project manager, and it should give you that project manager Sebastian. But it cannot do it right now, so it is more likely to looking for the keywords for its three main tasks, and one of them is generating the task plan. The other one is creating the risks, and the other two then are the reports. So what we get is we get our full project plan right here. So we get this little note with it that the note says this was requested by AI. So you can always remove that to detach from your laziness. But it pretty gives us a solid project plan, right? It doesn't do assignments yet, so it just gives out straight out the task names, and also it does provide the start and finish date as like today, so it always have new zero duration and days. So you want to make your planning by yourself still, but you already have that structure, which is quite helpful. Jumping on a project that is already further into the process. So after we have tracked our first time records and we did our planning before, of course, we do have new options here in the Copilot dropdown. We can create internal and external plans and as well risks. So I don't want to give you the another loading screen of the risks. So I have already something prepared here for you. And for example, here we do have another sales workshop and implementation work project for a customer, and it gives me a nice risk that none of my resources here on that project has any Dynamics 365 sales skills, which is kind of correct because I added myself there to the project, and in that demo environment, I don't have any skills assigned, so kind of it's correct. But you can as well see that there is as well some generic ones with like large expanse. There's as well something about the unknown risk of scopes, and there's usually as well someone who's like, there could be some collaboration issues or like communication issues throughout the project. The last one then, therefore, is the status report. We just decide for creating the internal one. This can be as well used for snapshotting, for example. So you get all of these project reports in the system as an own data record, and Microsoft comes in there with a very nice new control, which just shows all of the data. And in this case, like all of this summary here, I did not write this by myself. Believe me, I would never do. And this is all AI generated. We do have here our financials overview. In this example, I only used time recordings. There is no material, no expense booking. So the majority of my financials are related to time tracking. And even there's like a big text with that. And I didn't, trust me, I didn't write this down. As well, what is maybe more interesting for internal is to give you some overview about the tasks per resources. So in this case, for example, Joey has 2 tasks assigned. His one is in progress, one is not started. So we are basically could be we're in progress there. Would be all fine. And then this little guy here has already one completed and one is in progress right now, but still has 4 open. So I can may think about if I want to distribute that task as well to our resources if possible. So, and this is something you can as well download, you can print, or you can as well share it with other resources. And as mentioned, this all comes in together here. There's a new project reports tab for that. For all the project reports in your system, and with the different date stamps, you can as well see the progression throughout the project and perhaps assign this to or send it out for customers at like a monthly report or for example. So it's pretty handy coming in my opinion. In this case right now, we have like, I hope 2 minutes. I'm sorry, Anna. I will take this 2 minutes because I was well want to show you something because you say, yeah, okay, this is all nice and it's all great, but my environment is not in NA and I'm not located in North America, and also my customer is not there. And there is as well an option to get like all of these or most of these functionality on the European side, and this is the third option I told you earlier before, is the Azure OpenAI. So what you get there is basically you can create your own connector, your custom connector against OpenAI and can leverage the AI on that side. And what we did here, we have our wonderful project right there. And what we created here, a little button, says generate my project plan. And it basically does the same what Project Operations does in their preview, just with some other parameters, while we're not revering on the description right there. We want to more like on the physical input of the resource. So we have for business consulting scope, it should be the customer is in professional services, and this is like a software development thing. And we want to start yesterday, of course, because it's like super urgent and we need to finish till the 26th, and we do have some budget limitation there. And then we confirm that in the background, what happens is there is a flow triggering with all the inputs what we get, talking through a custom connector to the OpenAI and gets the information back, kind of chats for us with ChatGPT in the background, gets the data back, and we transforming that into a project plan. This might take a while, and I can take the chance to show you the Azure AI Studio, which is basically your connection point if you want to work with OpenAI in this case. So you do have like this playground where you can play around with some chats. So I, for example, updated here to be like, what did you call it? Like a Shakespeare writing assistant. And the prompt was more like, please write me a short text turning down an invitation to dinner. And I'm not even like to pronounce that because I have not the theater background to really present this according to you. But I think the answer is like a bit Shakespearean in this case. You can as well give like additional examples. So in case like you do have a certain prompt you want to use, you can give back like the example the AI should work with and should leverage for. So you can as well fine tune that for your use cases, and as well use, for example, own data files to upload here to inform the AI about the information and the data it needs to look in to get the right answer. So it's a bit more streamlined, a bit more tailored to your needs. It also comes next to the chat as well, like with completions. So we can, for example, let's pretty big. Let's summarize this article. So you can pick one of the examples, and we have here like a super nice article, and then let us just generate the summary and kind of adds you that summary underneath that, right? And it gives you like what is written in there in a more abstractive way. You can always as well leverage the code. So like this is how it looks like. Very important is basically that you do have that API base and you connect through an API region, and you do have a key for that. And then you kind of use the engine, which is part of our deployment right there. So you do have, in this case, the proMX GPT 3.5 Turbo. So it's all the name that is because I use here ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo. There's a preview for ChatGPT 4, but this is still open at the moment. And you do have different models, as already told. So you can as well leverage, for example, DaVinci, or as well, there is a preview for the DALL-E text picture recognition. As well, you can have different model versions here. And yeah, as mentioned, upload files, build your own connections, build your use cases you want to leverage AI. The most important thing actually is that it always needs to figure out what the data is about, right? So let's see if my project plan was generated successful. Yes, it was. So we do see here our project plan for our project with like deployment and training, deployment and testing, no, development and testing. I'm super sorry. So the basic plan here is already there. And yeah, that's it from my side. I'm sorry to take a bit longer time than expected. Kicking my ball back to Anna, and she will overtake from here and guide you through everything that is highlights or the new highlights in Dynamics 365. Thank you very much, and yeah, enjoy Anna's presentation.
Yes, thank you very much, Sebastian. That was pretty exciting to see. And maybe the part that I'm going to present is going to be also a little bit exciting. I would say if I had to compare it, it's much more straightforward, less technical maybe. So what I will present you, and I mentioned it at the very beginning when I introduced myself, I'm going to show you the new opportunity form. Even though it's not only for the opportunity, but that is going to be my sample, and the opportunity pipeline view, which is based on the AI features. And at the very end, we're going to go into questions that you might have. So let me just... Right. So let's start with the what I call new opportunity form. You might have seen when Sebastian was presenting that he has the new look and feel enabled in his demo environment. So when you think of what Dynamics and what the forms look like, you now have a function available in your app where you can enable, it's called actually the new look and feel for your forms. It doesn't only apply to opportunities, so it applies to all like leads, accounts, whatever forms you're having. So the main difference is basically, I'm going to jump in the system later on to show you there, because like from the screenshot, you don't see much maybe. The ribbon, so the top menu basically is standing out more. It was more like in the background before, it was not like highlighted as much. Also, what Microsoft did is like the fields that you're currently working in will be highlighted with a blue line below. So sometimes like you click in a field you didn't start writing yet, and you're like, okay, which field am I in? So you will see that straight away. What always triggered me somehow was the lookup fields, like what the lookup fields looked like. So they were very present, right? They were like in bold letters, very highlighted. So Microsoft took that back a little bit, and the lookup fields, like the potential customer, for example, they embed more into the new form. Then when enabled, you also have in the opportunity, for example, the predictive opportunity scoring, which is something you would see on the right-hand side in the screenshot. And that is something that relates to the opportunity pipeline view as well. I will show you what that looks like, and also open an opportunity where we can see more details, and I'll explain a bit more about that. But the AI-driven insights will be shown in the opportunity as well. And what is interesting, and you might know that from Microsoft Teams, like we see that in the screen over here, we see that there is 2 more pictures showing. So this basically tells me as a user, these 2 people are currently viewing exactly the same opportunity as I am viewing, which can be interesting. So you might want to, I don't know, kick people out or ask, what are you doing there? I don't know. Or people are working in the same data record at the same time. So it can be interesting to know who's also in your data record. And as I mentioned before, the new look and feel, you can enable it app-based. So if you have 2 model-driven apps, for example, you can say on the one, I want to have the new look and feel, and on the other one, maybe you don't want to have it. So that is pretty straightforward, and it's just 1 click away. Nothing will break if you enable it, so I can only recommend it. The opportunity pipeline view, and after I've presented like the insights of it, we will jump into a demo, just so you know. So in the screen, you see like a picture of the pipeline view, which is like with demo data. What is the opportunity pipeline view? I mean, at the end of the day, everybody's working, or mostly everybody is working with opportunities. And when you think about, okay, how likely is it that I might win opportunities? It's more like a gut feeling, right? Like either you dig into your opportunities, or you have prepared like, let's say, a custom view, or you have a system view that shows you, but there is no such analysis like out of the box, right? To tell you which deals are looking good and which ones are maybe not looking good, and which ones I might have to focus on. So the opportunity pipeline view is giving you exactly that, and it comes out of the box, right? So opening the view, you will see the bubbles, and I will explain you in a second in the system, what do these bubbles mean? I mean, it looks nice for me, but what does it tell me? That was like my very first question when I looked into the pipeline view. Next to this one is called Deal Tracker. There is a second out of the box view coming in, which is the sales funnel. And that shows like different data, but also out of the box. So you don't have to like do anything to get this information, right? So let me just jump into the system, and I will quickly refresh my read-only grid. Let me refresh the page. Sorry for that. Okay, so I have a list of my demo opportunities, for example, and let's focus on the form first. So what I was mentioning is like some things have changed on the form, on the view not, so I will open a data record. So the first thing I mentioned was the ribbon. So the ribbon is like more, it came more to the front, if I can describe it like that. Let's just finish loading. Right. Then I mentioned that the fields that I'm writing in are now highlighted. So let's take the, I don't know, current situation. You see the blue line. So if I write in here, this one is underlined, then this one is underlined. So this is more like a help for the users to make it more intuitive to work with a form. Then the lookup fields. I don't know if you can recall from your memory how present these lookup fields were. They are now like more in the background, so they're not as present as before. So they're not in bold anymore, which I like from a like looking at it point of view. We do have the opportunity score, which is like the AI driven stuff in here. So it gives you like an AI insight of this opportunity. So it will give you a grade, right? It has grade A to D, so A, B, C, D. I will go more into what is the grade when we look at the opportunity view. It will give you information on what can I do to improve my opportunity to make it more likely to be won. So in this case, well, maybe prepare a workshop or something, or here it says budget existing is yes. 63% of opportunities with an existing budget are won, and that is higher than the overall win rate of 33%. So basically what the AI does is it looks into existing opportunities, like for example, won opportunities in the past years. It compares the data, and at the end it basically tells you, okay, based on the opportunities that we've had and that we learned from, I can predict that this opportunity has a percentage of, in this case, I don't know, 66% to be won. Sometimes it's it can be very funny what the AI analysis does as an analysis. Like in this case, it says like the zip code is 80331. So this is like a down part for winning the opportunity. Why? Because there is a certain percentage of opportunities from this zip code that were lost in the past, for example, right? And it's like the data that it gives you, like the score improvers and score harmers, they change depending on the opportunity, really. Like, so it is worth like reading what it tells you, basically, right? So this is the AI-driven part that you can embed to the opportunity. And the people viewing the data record, like I don't have anybody looking at my demo data record at the moment, so I don't see the additional people up here. If there was, I would see who is also viewing my data record. So this much about the opportunity form. It's not major changes, but like after I first enabled the new look and feel, I loved it straight away from my perspective. And I told everybody, let's enable it, because it's just a click away, right? And it makes it much nicer, like working with the form. But that's my taste. I mean, everybody has to decide for themselves if they like it or not. So now going more into the AI topics. You've seen the pipeline view in the presentation up front. And question would now be, so where is it? I don't see it. It's basically like kind of a grid that is enabled in the background. So here you have calendar control, you have Kanban, and you have the pipeline view. Once it is enabled, you will find it here. And once you click on it, the system will automatically open up the pipeline view. The data that is shown in the chart is basically related to the data that I have selected down here based on my view. So you can always change the view that you have. And obviously the pipeline will then update, right? So what do we see? And let me make it a little bit bigger, maybe. So on the, what is it? Is x-axis, right? This is the score, right? It goes from 0 to 100. So how likely is it to win the opportunity? 0 obviously is like very unlikely, like this one over here, it's quite at the bottom. The more up the bubble is, the more likely it is to win the opportunity. Then you have a timeline at the bottom, which is based on the estimated close date when you're looking at open opportunities. If your view would contain also won or lost opportunities, it would switch to the actual close date, right? So it highly depends on what kind of opportunities open, won, lost you're looking at. I'm only looking at open opportunities. So obviously, like for one amount, number of won deals, lost amount, number of lost deals, I have like 0 because my view does not have these details. Then I was talking about the bubble. What we see is like the bubble sizes and the colors are different. The size of the bubble displays the revenue of the opportunity. So the bigger the opportunity is, the bigger the bubble will be. The smaller it is, the smaller the bubble will be. The color of the opportunity, and we see it here, it has grades A, B, C. There is a grade D as well, not in my data at the moment. It basically ranks the quality of the opportunity based on the scoring, right? The scoring is 0 to 100. So higher grades have more chances to be converted into a quote. Lower grades obviously are more unlikely to be converted into a quote. Have to get kind of like used to it to remember like, okay, what does this all mean? There is various data running into the chart, but I think it's pretty straightforward. The bigger the bubble, the greener it is, the better, the bigger and the greener and the more on the top it is, the better. So how would I find out which opportunity is this relating to? So which bubble is which opportunity? You can like use the mouse over and it will show you few insights. So this is like the name of the opportunity, for example. Then it will show you the potential customer. It will show you the grade, which is A, that is the green color. The score is 47, which is why it is located like over here. And then the estimated close date is end of June, which is why in the timeline it is located end of June. And the revenue, 4,200 euros, still tiny, but in reference to the other opportunities, it's a bigger one, is based on the size of the opportunity. So if I now wanted to see details of the opportunity, or I notice, oh, wow, my estimated close date is like incorrect, I have to postpone it to end of July, for example, I could now do two things. One is I say, okay, it's the SharePoint integration opportunity for the demo firma. Let's search for it in the view. I could do that, yes, but it's a lot more easy to click on here. And this is also a feature which I like so much, because when you are in sales and you're working with opportunities, you usually have many opportunities, and like opening up each single data record is such a pain and it slows you down in your daily work. So what happens is it opens the opportunity form in the site pane over here. So you can basically scroll down and see all the details, like make updates. So let's change the category, for example, to A. You can easily save your information. What you can also do is you can, over here, you can add a task, appointment, email, phone call directly from the site pane, without having to open the opportunity, go in there, etc. One benefit is also, in my opinion, that when you are looking at the timeline, for example, and let's just look for this one. The same happens if I click on here, but I have good sample data in here, I think. So I just scroll down and I have my timeline. So I have an appointment, and without going to either the activities overview or opening up the timeline out of the opportunity, it's pretty straightforward. I can just say it right from my pipeline view. I close the activity, or I assign it to someone else. Someone else has to take over. I can see my predictions of the opportunity, like what we've seen in the form directly, right from here, and get an overview. What does the spooky AI think I can do better to win this opportunity? You can basically update everything with regards to the opportunity right from here. You save the information and you don't have to jump to the data record itself. In general, what I was asking myself at the very beginning, like, okay, I kind of like the deal tracker, but maybe I have, let's say, a custom date field in my opportunity, which I would like to represent in the y-axis. And I say, okay, can I do that? Yes, the deal tracker can be customized. So you can customize the x-axis and the y-axis. You can update the legend, the tooltips, etc. So there's many things you can like make the pipeline view more for to cover your own personal needs. So looking at the time, sales funnel, I try to speed up. The second view, Microsoft calls it a sales funnel. When I first looked at it, I was like, where's the funnel? So the chart does not really show a funnel. It's like, personally, it's not like my taste of how I would display a chart, but it is what it is. But at the end of the day, when you look at it deeply, like it is basically based on the sum of the estimated revenues of all the opportunities that you have, like in this view, based on the pipeline phases. Like in this demo environment, the pipeline phase is like the percentage, like the probability, what we think, how likely it would be to win it. So all my opportunities are either in the 41 to 60% or 61 to 80% pipeline phase. If you have more, obviously you will have more, let's call it funnel stages, right? The interesting thing is like the funnel can display up to 50,000 data records, which I find amazing. I mean, looking at in this way, for example, open opportunities, is it a good thing or a bad thing to have 50,000 open ones? I'm not sure. And yes, also here you can obviously configure the charts. So you could say, I don't want to go for estimated revenue. I want to use a custom field. I don't want my pipeline phases are custom, whatever. You can update that. So that is not a problem. Hovering over the chart details, it will tell you, okay, this one displays the pipeline phase 61 to 80%. The summed up estimated revenue of all opportunities in this pipeline phase is X, the number of opportunities and the average percentage of the total opportunities in this pipeline phase is 62%. All right, is there any questions? I think the most complex part is to remember what is the difference between the opportunity score, for example, like the opportunity grade. But once you start working with it, it gives you more. It gives you more details, and like you will learn easily. And then you look at the pipeline phase in day 2, and you're like, okay, I remember. Green is good, big is good, and on top of the chart is also a good thing. One thing, how often is this updated? Because it's something that is AI dependent, right? So the AI is evaluating our data. The opportunity pipeline views are updated automatically once a day. That maybe as a last hint. All right. Let me maybe jump back to the presentation because now we are in the Q&A.
Yes, thank you so much for all the information presented, Anna, Sebastian. Let's see if we have some questions in the chat. At the moment, I don't see any, but in case anyone has any questions, please drop them in the chat. We still have a little bit of time. Well, we don't have a bit of time, but we will make it for your questions. Okay, we don't see any questions in the chat at the moment. Then let us finish it with saying a big thank you for preparing all this information for for our speakers, Sebastian Sieber and Anna Kubny. It was really interesting to see. I believe that it also will thrive new ideas with all these new possibilities. And in case you have these ideas and you want to develop them, please contact us. Feel free to reach us. Either you can reach Anna and Sebastian via their contacts. You can reach also proMX via our website or our social media. And we will be happy to approach you and help with your projects. And stay tuned for the next webinars. Follow us in LinkedIn. We are active there. We will upload the next topics for our webinars and our new blog entrances. And have a great evening, everyone. Thank you so much for staying today with us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
We have one question. If you want to stay for 1 minute.
Yes, sure.
We have a question from Axel Winkler. Which license is necessary? I believe, is it for PO? Are we talking or?
No, you can like for the opportunity pipeline view, it's just like the normal sales license. Like there is no additional one to be bought to use that feature. Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yes, Axel Winkler is telling us about sales. So yes, sales license.
Exactly.
Thank you so much.
And then I see another question, actually. Leila is saying, my dashboard is empty. Is that like, do you mean like the opportunity pipeline view or like a standard normal dashboard? Look at the personal dashboard filled in project service. It depends like on what dashboard you mean. If it's like, is it a standard dashboard you mean, like a personal dashboard you build yourself? So not referring to like the pipeline view, I guess. In general, like if you have a personal dashboard built by yourself, you can basically, you should have it in your app. If you don't have data in there, I mean, you obviously, what the first thing you have to do is like you have to configure, like, for example, views that you want to use on your dashboard. Then you have to build charts that you want to use on your dashboard. And then while setting up your personal dashboard, you can add either list views or charts to your dashboard. But if it is a personal one, you should see it straight away, but you have to add the personal data to it, obviously, yes. If it's related to the opportunity pipeline view and you don't see any charts, like bubbles in there, for example, what is important to understand is like the AI is clever, but it needs data to learn, right? So it needs a minimum of 41 opportunities and 40 lost opportunities to be able to learn from these. If you have less than that, you won't see anything. That is maybe a good hint. I hope that answered your question, Leila.
Thank you, Anna. And there is another question, which is at the top of the chat. What features are actually available to users?
Like from the part that I was showing, like the new form, if it's enabled, it's available to everybody because it's enabled app-wide, right? And if you have the opportunity pipeline available or enabled, everybody who has access to opportunities can obviously also use the pipeline view. And then depending on your security role restrictions, it obviously applies to only the data that the user is allowed to see. So if you have, I don't know, different business units, for example, and I'm only allowed to see opportunities of my business units, but not out of Sebastian's, that will also obviously apply to the opportunity pipeline view, even though the AI looks at all opportunities.
Great. Thank you so much. And I believe this covers all the questions we have at the moment in the chat. And yeah, as mentioned, feel free to reach Anna or Sebastian or directly proMX via our email, our website, our social media, and we will be happy to help you. Have a good evening, everyone. Thank you so much again for staying with us today, and see you soon. Bye-bye.